It often happens in life that we meet people who make us feel bad or even make us suffer. How many times have you had to deal with people who damage your state of mind and your inner well-being? In this video, thanks to a Zen story of Buddhist wisdom, we will see how to identify people who are toxic to your mind, those who upset your emotional balance. So, if you stay until the end, you will discover how to behave with these people, especially if they are very close to you like family. You will learn to recognize them, understand their manipulative mechanisms, and above all, develop effective strategies to remove them from your life. But before continuing, if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications to be informed when we publish new content for your spiritual growth. Under the leaden sky of an autumn morning, Master MURAI, a Buddhist monk with eyes as deep as pools of spring water, gathered his disciples in the temple. The crackling of the fire in the brazier was the only sound to break the eerie quiet that enveloped everyone. Today, my dear disciples, Master MURAI began in a calm and reassuring voice. I will talk to you about a topic that often torments you throughout your life: toxic people. A murmur of curiosity passed through the group of young monks. They had heard of these people. Individuals capable of poisoning the soul with their negative words and actions, capable of taking away the serenity of anyone who came into contact with them. But they had never received specific teaching on how to recognize and deal with them. Toxic people, Master MURAI continued, are like dark shadows that creep into the light of our being. If we do not firmly chase them away, they can obscure our serenity and our inner peace, just as clouds obscure the sun. To make his teaching clearer, the monk told his disciples a story. Once upon a time, there was a young monk named Taro, full of enthusiasm and devotion. One day, he met another monk, Jin, who exuded an aura of negativity and pessimism. Jin was always ready to criticize others, complain about life, and spread discontent. Taro, initially attracted by Jin's charismatic personality, began to spend more and more time with him. However, Master MURAI continued, Taro soon began to notice a change in himself. He often felt tired, unmotivated, and full of doubts. His meditation practice suffered and his inner joy seemed to wither like a flower under the freezing snow. One day, while meditating on top of the snowy mountain, Taro had an epiphany. He realized that Jin was like a dark shadow that was dimming the light of his being. With great courage, he decided to distance himself from Jin and rededicate himself and his spiritual practice. Within a short time, continued Master MURAI, Taro regained his serenity and inner peace. The dark shadow had been driven away and the light of his being had shone again. The disciples listened to the story attentively, absorbing every word their mentor spoke. They now better understood the danger posed by toxic people and the need to remove them from their lives. But Master, one of the disciples asked, what can we do if these toxic people are members of our family or close friends? How can we avoid them completely? And how can we protect ourselves from them? Master MURAI smiled compassionately. I understand your concern, he said. In these cases, it is important to establish clear and firm boundaries. We must learn to say no to their negative requests and not allow them to influence our mood. Furthermore, continued the elderly monk, it is essential to surround ourselves with positive people who are able to support us. We must cultivate relationships with individuals who nourish our souls and inspire us to become better people. Remember, my dear disciples, added Master MURAI in a firm voice, that your mind is a precious garden. Do not allow any shadow to dim the light. Carefully choose the flowers you want to bloom inside. The disciples nodded in understanding. Their hearts were full of gratitude for Master MURAI's teachings. But MURAI didn't stop there. Wanting to give his disciples an even more precious tool, he began to describe the types of toxic people most commonly encountered throughout life. One type of toxic person you are sure to encounter in your life, said the Master, is one who complains easily and continuously. Like a broken record that repeats the same melancholy psalm over and over again, the one who complains does nothing but cry over his own misfortunes and misfortunes. Its goal, in fact, is to arouse compassion and attention in others. His negative and complaining stories are like a vortex that sucks in the positive energy of those around him, creating a heavy and oppressive atmosphere. Imagine having a work colleague who every day tells you about his family, work, and health problems. His endless complaints make you feel tired and unmotivated and prevent you from concentrating on your work. The chronic complainer often suffers from low self-esteem and a deep sense of inadequacy. He needs to feel like the center of attention and receive constant reassurance to feel better. However, his negative attitude and victimization only push people away and make his situation worse. So, establish clear boundaries. Make it clear that you are not willing to listen to his complaints endlessly. When he starts to complain, try changing the subject or telling a positive experience of yours. And if the chronic complainer persists in complaining despite your attempts to change the subject, gently but firmly walk away. As the disciples listened intently, MURAI moved on to another type of toxic individual, the critic. Armed with a vocabulary as sharp as a sharp blade, said the monk, the perennial critic misses no opportunity to judge and criticize everything and everyone. He always finds a flaw to point out or a mistake to condemn, and his negative and sarcastic attitude can undermine your self-confidence. Imagine having a friend who always criticizes your way of dressing, your life choices, and your opinions. His negative comments make you feel inadequate and insecure, and prevent you from freely expressing your personality. Remember that this type of person often suffers from a deep sense of insecurity and inadequacy. By projecting his criticisms onto others, he tries to feel superior and hide his fragilities. However, his negative attitude only pushes people away and isolates him socially. Master, how should we behave with these people? One of the disciples asked worriedly. When you deal with these people, replied MURAI, you have to make him understand that you are not interested in what he has to say. If the critic makes a negative comment to you, you can respond assertively, explaining how you feel about his comment and why you don't appreciate his attitude. MURAI went on to talk about the subtle manipulator, who uses deception and lies to get what he wants. This type of toxic person exploits the weaknesses and emotions of others. His attitude, devious and Machiavellian, undermines trust and creates an atmosphere of suspicion and paranoia. Imagine having a family member who constantly manipulates you to get what they want. His goal is to make you feel guilty, blackmail you emotionally, and make you doubt your judgment. The subtle manipulator often has a narcissistic and self-centered personality. He needs to be in control and dominate others to feel confident. However, his manipulative attitude only drives people away and damages interpersonal relationships. Learn to recognize his tactics, such as making you feel guilty, and don't be fooled. Another type of person to distance is the one who dramatizes everything in an exaggerated way. Like an actor on the stage of life, said MURAI, this type of person amplifies every event, every emotion, every problem, transforming it into an epic tragedy. He loves to elicit drama and pathos, even when these emotions are not necessary. His exaggerated and sensationalist attitude creates an atmosphere of stress and anxiety for those around him. Imagine having a friend who talks about every little problem as if it were the end of the world. His exaggerated and dramatic reactions make you feel nervous and anxious and prevent you from dealing with problems calmly and rationally. The over-the-top dramatic often suffers from a deep sense of insecurity. He needs to feel important and the center of attention, and for this reason he tends to exaggerate his experiences and emotions. However, his exaggerated attitude creates problems for himself and others. In these cases, don't get involved in his drama and don't try to reassure or console him. Change the subject. Talk about something positive, and if you can't stop him, walk away from him before he can convey his anxiety to you. The inveterate pessimist is the other type of personality that the elderly monk spoke about to his disciples. Wrapped in a cloak of perpetual negativity, the hardened pessimist sees only the dark side of every situation, said MURAI. It doesn't believe in hope, change, or the possibility of a better future, spreading pessimism and disillusionment like a contagious virus. His negative and demoralizing attitude creates an atmosphere of discouragement and apathy in those around him. Imagine having a family member who constantly criticizes your every choice and project, convinced that you will fail miserably. His contagious pessimism, if you do nothing, could prevent you from pursuing your dreams, and this would damage you very deeply. If this person has lost hope in the future, it is not fair to make you lose it too. So try to help her by transmitting your positivity, but if you fail in this objective, walk away to preserve your life. While the disciples were grateful for the wisdom shared by their mentor, MURAI continued, "What does what we talked about teach us? It teaches us that our life is a precious garden," one of the disciples replied, his voice full of awareness. "And like any garden, it needs care and attention to flourish." Exactly, Master MURAI confirmed. We must learn to discern the wild flowers that enrich our being from the toxic ones that poison it. And how can we do that? Another disciple asked, with a hint of apprehension in his voice. MURAI smiled kindly. First, we must listen to our intuition. It is like an internal compass that guides us to the truth. Then, he continued, we must learn to set healthy boundaries. We cannot allow anyone to trample on our inner garden. In conclusion, said Master MURAI, we must remember that compassion is the key to dealing with any situation. Even with toxic people, we can choose to act with kindness and understanding, but without allowing them to hurt us.